Have you ever noticed that the most magnetic men in a room aren't usually the loudest? They're not the ones dominating every conversation, or desperately trying to prove how interesting they are. I learned this lesson the hard way at a party a couple of years ago. I was in full performance mode, telling stories and jokes, and trying to impress a woman I'd just met. Meanwhile, there was this other guy who was just there. He barely spoke 10 words the entire night, but guess who she left with? That night completely changed my perspective on attraction. The most attractive men operate on a different frequency entirely. They have mastered something that most guys never figure out. It's the art of magnetic presence without verbal desperation. Today, I'm revealing exactly what they do instead of constantly talking. These aren't pickup tricks or psychological manipulation. These are the subtle behaviors that create genuine attraction and lasting influence. If you're ready to discover why less talking equals more attraction, let's dive in. 1. They master the art of strategic silence. While most men feel the need to fill every silence, truly attractive men understand that strategic silence is one of the most powerful tools in human interaction. They know when to speak, and more importantly, when not to. Think about the last time you were in a group conversation. Who commanded the most respect? Usually, it's the person who spoke less, but made every word count. When they did speak, everyone listened, because they had proven their words had value. I started experimenting with this after reading about how Steve Jobs conducted meetings. He would sit quietly for long periods, observing, thinking, and processing. When he finally spoke, the room would fall silent because everyone knew he had been calculating something important. Strategic silence works in dating for a few reasons. First, it creates mystery. When you're not constantly revealing your thoughts, opinions, and experiences, people become curious about what's going on in your head. Women find themselves wanting to know more about the man who doesn't feel the need to broadcast everything. Second, silence demonstrates confidence. A man who's comfortable with quiet moments is a man who's comfortable with himself. He doesn't need constant validation through verbal interaction. He's content to exist in his own space, which is incredibly attractive. Third, strategic silence shifts the dynamic. Instead of you working to entertain her, she starts working to engage you. She begins asking questions, sharing stories, and trying to draw you out. This reversal is powerful because it makes your attention feel valuable and earned, rather than freely given. 2. They become masters of physical presence. Instead of relying on words to command attention, the most attractive men develop a powerful physical presence that speaks before they ever open their mouths. They understand that body language is a language more primal and persuasive than anything verbal. This goes far beyond basic posture advice. It's about occupying space with intention and moving through the world with purpose. When these men enter a room, you feel their energy before you hear their voice. I learned this from watching my friend David, who's incredibly successful with women despite being relatively quiet. He has this way of moving through space that's deliberate, but never rushed. When he sits down, he takes his time and settles in completely. When he stands, it's fluid and confident. Every movement seems intentional. Physical presence manifests in several ways. First, there's spatial awareness, which is understanding how to position yourself in relation to others. These men don't aggressively crowd people's space, but they also don't shrink away. They find the perfect distance that feels confident without being invasive. Second, there's posture and bearing. It's not the rigid, military-style posture that looks forced, but natural alignment that suggests strength and confidence. Their shoulders are back but relaxed, their spine is straight but not tense, and their head is level with their eyes forward. 3. They listen with laser-focused intensity. While most men wait for their turn to speak, attractive men turn listening into an art form that creates a deeper connection than any clever story or witty comment ever could. They understand that making someone feel truly heard is one of the most powerful forms of attraction. This isn't passive listening where you're just being polite. This is active, engaged, intense listening that makes the other person feel like they're the only person in the universe for those moments. I discovered this technique accidentally during a dinner date. My phone died, so I couldn't check messages or social media. For the first time in months, I gave someone my complete, undivided attention. The change in her demeanor was remarkable. She became more animated, more open, and more engaged. Later, she said, "I've never felt so heard by someone on a first date." Laser-focused listening involves several key elements. First, there's complete attention. No checking phones, no looking around the room, and no thinking about what you'll say next. Your entire focus is on understanding what they're communicating, both verbally and non-verbally. Second, there's emotional attunement, which is picking up on not just what they're saying, but how they're feeling about what they're saying. You notice when their voice changes, when their energy shifts, and when something resonates deeply with them. Third, there's strategic follow-up. Instead of jumping to a new topic, you dig deeper into what they've shared. You ask clarifying questions that show you're processing their words on multiple levels. You reference things they mentioned earlier in the conversation. The power of this approach is that it makes people feel valued and understood. In a world where everyone is distracted and surface level, someone who truly listens stands out dramatically. Women especially respond to this because they often feel like men are just waiting for their turn to talk rather than genuinely trying to understand them. This skill also gives you valuable information. By listening intently, you learn what someone truly cares about, what excites them, and what concerns them. This knowledge allows you to connect with them on a deeper level and demonstrate that you see them as a complete person. 4. They communicate through deliberate action. Instead of talking about what they're going to do or what they believe, the most attractive men simply act. Their actions become their primary form of communication, speaking louder than any words could. This principle extends far beyond the classic show, don't tell advice. It's about understanding that demonstration is more powerful than declaration, and that people trust what you do far more than what you say. I saw this principle in action with my mentor, who never talked about being successful, generous, or reliable. He just was these things. When someone needed help, he helped. When he made a commitment, he kept it. When he saw an opportunity, he acted on it. His character was evident through his choices, not his claims. In dating and relationships, this translates to several key behaviors. Instead of telling someone you're interested, you show interest through consistent actions, remembering details about their life, following through on plans, and being present when you're with them. Instead of talking about your goals and ambitions, you work toward them steadily. Your dedication becomes evident through your choices and priorities, not your speeches about what you plan to accomplish. Instead of describing your values, you live them. If you value honesty, you're honest. If you value loyalty, you're loyal. If you value growth, you continuously work on improving yourself. This approach is particularly powerful because it builds trust and respect over time. Anyone can say they're reliable, but only reliable people consistently show up when they say they will. Anyone can claim to be confident, but only confident people make decisions without constantly seeking validation. 5. They ask questions that reveal character. Rather than trying to impress through storytelling or achievements, truly attractive men become masters of inquiry. They ask questions that go beyond surface level and reveal the deeper aspects of someone's character and personality. This isn't interrogation. It's sophisticated curiosity that demonstrates a genuine interest in understanding who someone really is. While most men ask generic questions or try to steer conversations toward topics where they can shine, attractive men use questions to create meaningful connection. The questions they ask are different from typical small talk. Instead of, "What do you do for work?" they might ask, "What's the most interesting project you've worked on recently?" Instead of, "Where are you from?" they ask, "What's something about your hometown that most people don't know?" These questions require thought and often reveal values, passions, and perspectives that standard questions never uncover. They show that you're interested in the person behind the surface details. I learned this technique from a woman who told me about a date she'd had with someone she described as magnetic. He barely talked about himself, she said, but by the end of the night, he knew more about me than some people I've known for years. And somehow, that made me want to know everything about him. Additionally, asking thoughtful questions positions you as someone who's genuinely interested in others, rather than just focused on yourself. This quality is incredibly attractive because it suggests you'd be an engaged and caring partner. If this video changed how you think about attraction and communication, hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments which of these principles surprised you most. Share your experiences with trying these approaches. I want to hear how they work in your life.